My family has been subtly excluding me for years, all while expecting me to drop everything whenever they need assistance. Finally, I decided to prioritize myself, and their world seemed to crumble around them. "It's just a gathering," my mom said when I found out I wasn't invited to my sister's significant engagement party. I chose to remain silent, even as they called me 32 times when everything began to unravel. I leaned closer to my drafting table, adjusting the letter spacing on the engagement invitations for Maria and Blake for the third time. The afternoon light poured across my workspace, illuminating the metallic copper accents I had incorporated into the design. It was perfect, almost perfect. My sister deserved nothing less. My phone buzzed against the oak surface, dangerously close to my coffee mug. Maria's name lit up the screen, and a reflexive smile crept onto my lips. "Party this weekend, guest list is super tight. Hope you understand." My hands froze mid-adjustment. I read the message again, certain I had misunderstood. The delicate brush pen slipped from my fingers, leaving an unwelcome streak across the sample invitation. "What?" I whispered to my empty apartment. My coffee mug tipped as I reached for my phone, dark liquid seeping into my sketches. I barely noticed, instead, my gaze fixed on the framed photo beside my workspace. Maria was grinning in her uniform, standing next to 3 large care packages I had spent weeks assembling, the ones I had stayed up all night packing to meet the military mail deadline. They contained her favorite homemade cookies, and despite having to work the next morning, she had called them a lifesaver during her deployment. My hands trembled as I dialed my mother's number. "Morris," her voice came through after 4 rings, distracted and slightly annoyed. "Everything okay?" "Mom, Maria just texted me about some party this weekend for her engagement." My voice sounded steadier than I felt. There had to be some confusion. A beat of silence followed, then a sigh. "It's just a get-together, Morris. Nothing formal." I pressed my fingers against the bridge of my nose. But I was her brother. I had been working on their actual invitation designs all week. "Look, honey," Mom's tone shifted to the dismissive one I knew too well. "It's a small thing at Blake's parents' lake house. Don't make this a thing, okay? You know how your sister gets when everyone starts making demands." "When I make demands?" The unspoken accusation hung between us. "Right," I managed, my throat tightening. "Of course." I hung up before she could hear the crack in my voice. The afternoon light felt colder now as I stared at my design work, hours of unpaid labor for a sister who couldn't even be bothered to invite me to her pre-wedding celebration. My mind flashed back to 6 months ago, to the 3 a.m. call from Maria in Germany, desperate because her bank card had been compromised. I remembered transferring her $22,000 from my carefully managed savings without hesitation, emergency money she still hadn't repaid. I thought about the 3 nights I spent designing their engagement announcement when Blake decided he didn't like the professional one they had paid for. I had missed my friend David's birthday dinner to finish it by their deadline. I recalled the 18 months of her deployment when I sent a care package every single month, when I checked in on Mom and Dad twice a week, when I helped Blake move into their apartment so it would be ready when she returned. My phone pinged again. My cousin Tom had just received the invite for Maria and Blake's party. "You coming up to the lake this weekend?" My stomach twisted. "Evite?" I whispered. "What evite?" I typed back, and 3 dots appeared, disappeared, then reappeared. "Oh, awkward. Thought you'd be there. It's at the Hendersons' lake house. Looks like the whole crew is going." I asked him to forward it to me, a request met with uncomfortable delay before it arrived in my inbox. The screen glowed with a cheerful nautical design, "Join us for a lakeside engagement celebration." The details swam before my eyes, but one thing became unmistakably clear: this was no intimate gathering. The guest count? Over 120. I scrolled through names, recognizing Maria's work colleagues, distant cousins, Blake's high school friends, everyone it seemed, except me. My phone rang again. "Mom." "Your sister has her reasons, Morris," she said before I could speak. "Maybe she thought you'd be uncomfortable with so many people. You know how you get." "How I get?" My voice barely carried above a whisper. Just respect her decision. That's all I'm asking. After we hung up, I sat motionless, staring at my bank account on my laptop screen. Years of careful saving, years of choosing family obligations over personal dreams. My cursor to watch this nonsense. Call me when you're ready to talk. Until then, enjoy every minute of that mountain air. I slid my phone into my pocket, a smile creeping onto my face that I hadn't expected to find today. It was my first time on the slopes. My instructor, Ka, adjusted my boot bindings with practiced hands. Her weathered face sported decades of laugh lines and a perpetual squint from years spent facing the glare of the snow. It's my first time doing anything just for me, I admitted. She nodded, understanding far more than I had said. Got yourself some good company then. By the afternoon, I had joined a group of solo travelers at the lodge: a retired teacher from Vermont, a widower celebrating his birthday, and a young man escaping a breakup. They welcomed me without questions about family or obligations. We shared stories over hot chocolate as easily as if we had known each other for years. My phone remained silent in my pocket for entire stretches. I forgot it existed. The beginner slope was little more than a gentle hill, but as I navigated down it without falling, a surge of triumph coursed through me. The cold air stung my cheeks, and my laughter escaped as vapor clouds in the mountain air. My body remembered how to move without hesitation, how to lean into it rather than fight it. Not bad for day one, Ka called from behind me. I had spent my life making things easier for everyone else, and the irony wasn't lost on me that I was finally learning to do the same for myself. The lodge's great room buzzed with a vibrant energy. A stone fireplace threw heat and light across comfortable seating clusters where new friendships formed. I sank into a leather armchair, warming my hands around a mug of spiked cider, listening to Samuel's story about swimming with dolphins in Hawaii last summer. I realized with a start that my phone hadn't vibrated in hours. I pulled it from my jacket pocket, 15 missed calls and 32 unread messages. But instead of the familiar spike of anxiety, I felt only a curious detachment. Whatever crisis they were navigating, they were doing it without me, and they were surviving. So was I. As the conversation around me swelled with laughter, I snapped a photo of the breathtaking mountain sunset visible through the windows. I posted it to Instagram with steady fingers. Good morning to a new life. Have you ever had to step away from family obligations to discover who you really are? Share in the comments below if you've ever had to make the difficult choice between loyalty to others and loyalty to yourself. The fireplace crackled in the lodge's timber-framed lounge as I raised my mulled wine in a silent toast to myself. 3 days into my Aspen escape, and the knot that had lived between my shoulder blades for years had finally begun to loosen. My phone buzzed against the polished oakside table, then buzzed again and again. When it vibrated for the 6th time in under a minute, curiosity won. I set down my drink and picked up the device. 17 notifications, all from Tom. Bro, complete meltdown happening. Call me now. I hesitated, my fingers hovering over the screen. Part of me wanted to silence it to maintain this fragile peace I had found, but another part, the one that had spent 3 decades witnessing my family's chaos from the front row, needed to know. I slipped outside onto the deserted terrace, where pristine snow reflected the resort's golden lights. Tom answered on the first ring, party noise exploding through the speaker. Oh my God, Morris, you're missing drama. His voice carried a mix of horror and delight. Maria's been flirting with Kevin Winters, her high school boyfriend, for the past hour right in front of Blake. The word formed a visible cloud in the mountain air. What? I managed. It started with reminiscing, then on to the arm touching, and now they're huddled by the bar, laughing like they're the only 2 people here. I pressed my fingers against my temple. And Blake just threw his champagne in her face, the entire glass. Then stormed out, screaming that the engagement is off. Despite everything, my stomach tightened. Old habits surfaced, my mind was already calculating how to fix this, what words might smooth things over, how to salvage the party. Then I remembered I wasn't important enough to be invited. That's not even the worst part, Tom continued. Maria punched the wall after he left. Pretty sure she broke something in her hand. Your mom's losing it. Maria got into a shouting match in front of everyone. The bartender cut them both off, and the manager threatened to shut down the whole thing. I could picture it perfectly, Maria, red-faced and belligerent, Mom making everything worse with her damage control that only caused more damage, Dad wringing his hands in the corner, pretending nothing was happening. Grandpa Mark is the real MVP, though, Tom, the moment I consider ignoring it, like the 14 other calls I've let go to voicemail, but something about that old familiar sense of responsibility makes me slow my descent and pull to the side of the trail. Grandpa Mark's name lights up my screen. Unlike the others, he deserves an answer. Morris, his voice crackles with a mix of relief and concern. They're losing their minds trying to reach you. I watch a mother and son glide past, their laughter carrying on the crisp mountain air. I needed some space. Space, he snorts. Your sister has left 17 voicemails, starting with, "How could you do this to me?" and has worked her way to, "Please, I need you." His voice softens. Your mother even sent an apology text. Your father made her, of course, but still. I close my eyes, feeling the sun warm my face. And Blake? His brother showed up at your apartment yesterday. Thought you might be hiding out. Grandpa's laugh is sharp and knowing. Found nothing but your neighbor watering your plants. I murmur, watching a snow bunny hop between pine trees. Where are you, son? For the first time in days, I smile, a real smile that reaches my eyes. Somewhere I should have gone years ago. Perfect form. Victoria, my ski instructor, calls as I navigate the final turn. 3 days ago, she had patiently helped me up after countless falls on the bunny slope. Today, I'm carving confident turns down a run aptly named Freedom. See you at the lodge for a briskie, she asks as we reach the bottom. Wouldn't miss it, I reply, surprising myself with how quickly I've fallen into this new routine. The lodge staff knows me now. Eric at the front desk saves me the morning paper, Pa remembers my coffee order, and Jack, the concierge, stops me with recommendations for dinner spots. Morris. Jack waves as I enter the lobby. The Hendersons wondered if you'd join them tonight. They're doing a family dinner at their cabin and thought you might enjoy a home-cooked meal. I pause momentarily, confused by the invitation. The Hendersons, a retired couple I chatted with during a snowshoe tour, have no obligation to me. They want nothing fixed, designed, or solved, they simply enjoy my company. I'd love to, I answer, and the simplicity of the exchange nearly brings tears to my eyes. Later, in my room, I open the leather-bound journal I purchased in the gift shop. I flip past days of entries, watching my handwriting transform from shaky and uncertain to bold and flowing. Day 1, arrived broken, wondering if I made a terrible mistake. Day 5, skied my first blue run today. Fell twice, got up twice. No one seemed disappointed in me. Day 7, I recognized my reflection again. I press my pen to a fresh page. Day 8, the man who arrived is not the man who will leave. Dr. Winters watches me from across his sunlit office in the resort's wellness center. You've made a deliberate choice to disengage, he says, and it's not a question. I nod, turning my silenced phone over in my hands, 67 notifications. I haven't opened a single one. Tell me about your family, he suggests, the unfiltered version. And I do. The words pour out like a spring run. 18 months of care packages during Maria's deployment, the money I transferred without hesitation, the invitations I designed without compensation, the birthdays I've missed to meet their demands, the savings account I've depleted solving their emergencies. Going back to those patterns would be self-destruction, I conclude, surprised by my own certainty. Dr. Winters nods. And yet they're realizing what they've lost. Are they? I ask, not entirely convinced. People rarely change until the pain of staying the same exceeds the pain of changing, he replies. Your absence has tipped that balance. A new message from Tom appears as I settle by the stone fireplace with a book. Grandpa Mark's moved into your parents' guest room, it says. Says he's setting things straight. Mom nearly had an aneurysm. I smile, picturing my grandfather's take-no-prisoners approach. Another message follows quickly. Maria admitted to your mom that they've taken you for granted. Mom actually agreed. I nearly fall off my chair. Before I can respond, a video message arrives from Blake. I hesitate, then play it. His face appears, eyes red and puffy. "Morris," he begins, voice breaking. "I've been awful to you, not just about the party, 4 months, years really." He wipes his eyes with the back of his hand, no careful grooming, no rehearsal speech. "I don't know dwelling," I interrupt, my voice quiet but firm. "I'm establishing context." I withdraw a sheet of paper from my portfolio. On February 16, Maria called at 3 a.m. from Germany because her bank card was compromised. I transferred $22,000 from my emergency fund within 10 minutes. I looked directly at my sister. That loan remains unpaid. Maria shifts uncomfortably. "I've been meaning to." "Last September," I continue, "I missed David's birthday dinner to finish your engagement announcement because Blake wasn't feeling the professional design you'd already paid for." I place my phone on the table, screen up. "And here are the texts from Mom telling me not to make this a thing when I was excluded from a 120-person engagement party." Silence falls across our table, heavy and unfamiliar. My family stares at me as if I've suddenly started speaking a foreign language. "I'm not here to accuse," I say, folding my hands on the table. "I'm here to establish boundaries." Mom's face reddens. "Now see here." "No, Janet," Dad interjects with uncharacteristic firmness. "Let him speak." I pull out another sheet of paper and place it beside the first. "This is what I need from each of you moving forward." They lean forward almost in unison, scanning the typed list. 1. Acknowledgement of my time, effort, and contributions. 2. Advanced notice for family events, minimum 2 weeks. 3. Repayment of outstanding loans within 6 months. 4. No more free design work, family discount of 25% only. 5. Respect for my no without guilt trips or manipulation. If these boundaries are crossed, I continue, I will limit contact until the behavior changes. I've learned that love without respect isn't sustainable, and if we refuse this ultimatum. Mom's voice wavers between anger and disbelief. "Then you'll be making a choice about what kind of relationship you want with me." I straighten the papers with steady hands. "And I'll respect your choice by making my own." Maria wipes an unexpected tear. "Morris, I didn't realize." "I know," I say, softening slightly. "That's part of the problem." "These seem reasonable," Dad offers tentatively, glancing at Mom. Blake's perfectly groomed eyebrows arch high. "So you're not helping with the wedding planning after everything that's happened?" "I'll help within these parameters," I answer, "but there's something else. I've accepted a 6-month design contract in Colorado. I start next month." "You're leaving?" Mom's fist hits the table, rattling our cups. "Just like that?" "I'm pursuing an opportunity," I correct her. "Just like you always encouraged Maria to do." Mom opens her mouth, closes it, then slumps back in her chair. Maria leans forward, eyes rimmed red. "I've been a terrible sister, haven't I?" Before I can answer, the coffee shop door swings open, and Grandpa Mark makes his entrance, impeccably timed as always. "Well, look at you," he says, his eyes appraising me with approval. "About time someone stood up for themselves in this family." He pulls up a chair from the neighboring table and wedges it between Mom and me. "Now," he says, placing his weathered hands flat on the table, "let's talk about how this family moves forward with a little more equity and a lot more respect." I catch my reflection in the window, shoulders back, chin level, eyes clear. The mountains gave me this gift, a man who finally values himself enough to demand others do the same. Mountains frame my view as I adjust the blinds in my Colorado apartment. 6 months in this place, and the sight still steals my breath. The crisp February air seeps through an inch of open window, a luxury I never allowed myself back home, where I paid the heating bills my parents claimed they couldn't afford. I run my fingers along the row of postcards pinned to my cork wall: Aspen, Boulder, Santa Fe, Denver, places I've visited since claiming my independence. Each one a milestone marking distance from the boy who'd cancel plans at the first hint of family need. My phone lights up with Dad's weekly video call. I take a deep breath before answering, remembering my therapist's advice: boundaries aren't walls, they're doors you control. "Morris," Dad's face fills the screen, his hair freshly cut for the church potluck. You look rested.
I am. No explanation, no apology, that's new too. Your mother asked about your project for that coffee company.
He pauses, fumbling with his reading.